Oh my God, how I've missed you. I've been so busy teaching my IRL class that I haven't had any time for a video. But luckily, Columbus Day weekend is here upon us, and with that extra time, here's 5 facts about Columbus. 1. He did not prove that the earth was round. This was done by Greek mathematicians like Pythagoras 2,000 years before him. 2. He was not the first European to cross the Atlantic Ocean. The Viking Leif Erikson did that in about 1000 AD. Even more insulting, you didn't realize that Leif Erikson Day was October 9th, just a couple of days ago. Facts number 3 is about his ships. First off, you've been calling 2 of them by the wrong name all along. Ships back then, they were named after saints, and the ship that we know as the Pinta, well, that was just a nickname given to it by sailors. The Pinta meaning painted one, or prostitute. The second ship, the Santa Clara, was owned by a man named Juan Niño, and history just decided to call it the Niña. And while it is true that Columbus sailed on the ship named the Santa Maria, he didn't sail back on it. That's because the Santa Maria ran aground and was wrecked on Christmas Eve, 1492. Columbus would then jump on the Niña and leave 40 sailors behind. And they would create the first European settlement in the Americas, appropriately named La Navidad, or Christmas. Now, we could discuss the exploits of Columbus and debate whether he's a hero, a villain, or just a man of his time, and I'm pretty sure that debate will rise up in the comments anyway. But I want our next fact to answer a question I always get when I'm teaching about Columbus. Why do we call it America and not Columbia? See, here's the thing about Columbus. He was usually wrong, but wound up being very lucky. I mean, he completely underestimated the size of the Atlantic Ocean and then just happened to run across the New World, although he would never admit it. Columbus, despite mounting evidence, was convinced that he had either landed in Asia or just had a small roadblock on the way there. Enter the Florentine sailor Amerigo Vespucci. Born to a wealthy trade family, Vespucci was actually in Spain when Columbus left on his 1492 voyage, and this kind of inspired him to become an explorer as well. He joined the crew for a captain named Alonso de Ojeda, earned a good reputation as a salty sailor, and managed to convince the King of Portugal to finance his own expedition in 1501. It was during this time that Vespucci became convinced that this wasn't India or China or any place in Asia, but someplace completely new. New except to the millions of people that had lived there for over 20-something millennia. His letters addressing this were published in a work called Mundus Novus, or New World, and they were kind of like the 50 Shades of Grey of their time. And when in 1507 a German cartographer named Martin Waldseemüller published a map with the New World as a separate land, he named it America in honor of Vespucci. And it just kind of stuck. And lastly, what's up with the whole District of Columbia thing? See, the United States government placed its capital in a bit of swampland along the Potomac River, which is fitting since today the government operates at a swamp-like, mucky pace, if it operates at all. Anyway, the Residence Act of 1790 approved that a capital be made from land donated from Virginia and Maryland. And since it was supposed to be neutral, it was going to be its own federal district. But what to name it? Well, there was massive support to just call the thing Washington. If you think we have hero worship over George Washington now, he was pretty much American Jesus when he was actually president in 1791. But just as much support was put behind naming it Columbia. First, many people were upset that the name of the country itself wasn't Columbia and instead went with the bulky United States of America. There was total excitement over the looming 300-year anniversary of Columbus's first voyage, and also the name Columbus had inspired a female personification named Columbia, which stood for freedom and the American way. She was the feminine symbol of the United States until she was squeezed out by the Statue of Liberty in Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian-like takeover. So the city was named Washington, the total area named the Territory of Columbia, and in 1871 it was all merged together, in which it became the District of Columbia. Oh, and by the way, what did George himself call it? Federal City. So there's your 5 quickish facts and some food for thought. And speaking of food, why don't you check out my ceviche and the Colombian exchange video, in which I teach you how to make a delicious Latin American dish while discussing how Columbus and his successors completely changed the world economy. Shout out to Hip Use History, link below, for putting out awesome content at a blistering pace. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Be safe, and I'll see you next time.